Calaroga Shark Media.
It appears to be Friday the 13th, which is neither here nor there. Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Tommy Tiernan was on Bill Burr's podcast and explained the Irish people became natural comedians because we had no choice. That's why we're like that. It's not like we had to choose between being masters of the world and singers. We had no choice. We had no money. We're good at talking. We love music and drinking and singing and crying and fighting amongst each other. Bill Burr said, "You get what life is about." Tiernan explained, when you have no money, when you got nothing, what do? Burr said, over here, you get a gun and start robbing people. Tiernan said, in the old days, the Irish would concoct a drink made of rain and tears and old potatoes, and there was nothing to do except drink it and see what happens. And then somebody'd make a fiddle out of an old cat, and it'd start making music, and that was our culture for 800 years. We were so downtrodden, and our only refuge was the spoken word, music, and drink. And to this day, Irish people aren't great at architecture or any of the obvious hallmarks of an empire. Meanwhile, Kathleen Madigan will hit the road for the day drinking tour. We are reinforcing all the Irish stereotypes today. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac, by the way, Irish American. It'll be her 35th year as a touring comic. It's the day drinking tour. It kicks off January 17th in Omaha. 29 dates. Interesting note from Ballstar here. Madigan has regularly performed 250 dates a year. Highlights from 2024 submitted to Ballstar include a $78,000 gross against 1,939 tickets at Clowes Memorial Hall on the campus of Indianapolis at Butler University, March 16th. So if somebody wants to crunch the numbers there, here, let me be lazy. 1,900's like $2,000, $78,000 is like $80,000, so $40 a ticket, something like that. 80 grand, 250 days a year, 200 grand minus expenses. Am I doing the math right there? So $80,000, 250 times would be $20 million minus expenses, and I rounded up there, but sounds like Kathleen's doing okay. Kathleen Madigan often tours with Lewis Black. He's wrapping it up after 35 years. He says, I want to get back to writing. I do a rantcast. I want to do more of that live. He was doing 150 shows a year, but says he will miss performing. Yeah, well, because it's something really nice about showing up at a city where you know maybe 2 people and 1,000 show up really excited that you're there. It really is something, the energy you get from them. The LA Times writes, though Matt Rife's dream has been to entertain at the highest level, Rife says he's used to being a target for backlash, and it's no coincidence that 2 of his favorite comedians are Dave Chappelle and Ricky Gervais, 2 of the most popular and criticized comedians. Rife says it's a lot to juggle. In the beginning, you mostly only hear the positive, and then a very select people go, oh, this person's very well loved and respected, and I myself might lack that love and respect in my own personal life, so therefore, I don't want this person to have it. So then comes an influx of negativity. You then have to really appreciate the good because the bad's going to come with it, guaranteed. Nobody is universally loved. I used to avidly respond back to people. Nobody could be meaner than me if I really wanted to be, but you can't do that because it's whether or not you feel like you've won that interaction or you had the better roast. What this troll or hater said doesn't matter. You gave them exactly what they want, and all they want is attention. Rife talked about his grandpa, who passed away in 2022, and said, he never got to see me have any of this. He's the reason I have any of this. I've been so happy to be so distracted and keep busy and keep my mind off that kind of stuff. But through therapy and this book, which has been a massive form of therapy, it's forced me to take time and reflect on all the things that got me to this point right now. His book is called Your Mom's Gonna Love Me. It will be out in December. Rife says, that's the new anxiety, by the way, because that's the hardest thing. How many viral sensations are there in a year? 30? Anybody can have a hot year, a hot moment of their career. So many musicians, actors, comedians have them quite often. Hard part's maintaining. Joan Rivers' daughter Melissa has announced 2 upcoming shows. On November 7th, A-list comedians will gather at the Apollo Theater in New York for a living tribute to Joan Rivers, benefiting God's Love We Deliver. That's part of the New York Comedy Festival. Also, between October 27th and November 24th, fans can catch the play Joan, playing in Costa Mesa, California. The play will follow the life of the edgy comic from getting her start at a small Greenwich Village nightclub to being a regular act on The Tonight Show. I wonder who's playing Joan. Joan says of Mom, she was shy. She hated social situations, but she covered that up by being funny. What's interesting is a lot of performers are very shy. One of her biggest fears was being in social situations outside of her friend group because she was always concerned she was going to disappoint someone, that they were expecting her to be Joan Rivers rather than Joan Rosenberg. Up until the day she died, she answered the phone. Rosenberg residence. Kathy Griffin spoke to EW.com about her upcoming show and said, you don't want to know what I'd do to sell tickets. I don't want to use the term have sex with a donkey, but whatever it takes, my hustle game's never been stronger. She will joke about her PTSD, which includes 12-hour panic attacks and nonstop vomiting and dry heaving. Kathy says, I'm going to make it funny. I make fun of my remedies. I have a whole team of people trying to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. She uses affirmations saying, I'll go look in a mirror and say, like, you're going to be okay today, Kathy. It's me. Kathy, talking to you, Kathy. You're going to be okay. If anybody ever walked in there, it'd have me committed on another 5150 psych hold. I have to admit, after me making fun of celebrities being on 5150 psych holds, I'm a little bit excited that I'm now in the company of Britney and Kanye. 6-time Grammy-nominated Catholic comedian Jim Gaffigan will host the 2024 Al Smith Dinner on October 17th. I love the phrasing 6-time Grammy-nominated. I mean, it makes it sound like he's Oasis. I mean, yeah, but no. The Al Smith Dinner is an annual event organized by the Archdiocese of New York. You know who else is going to be there? Deacon Mike? No, Deacon Mike's not going. Are you going, Deacon Mike? Maybe he is. He knows everybody these days. Well, who is going to be there? Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, both noted Catholics. Why are they there? What is happening at this thing? Jim Gaffigan posted a copy of an invitation on Twitter that lists Trump and Harris as the guests. Jim, hilarious as always, joked that he was unfamiliar with the names of the two candidates. In his caption, he said, I'm so honored to be emceeing this year's Al Smith Memorial Dinner on October 17th. Too bad I don't recognize those two names in the middle of the invitation. Anyone ever heard of them? Hilarious, Jim. Colin, Jost, and Michael Che went by Howard Stern because apparently it's 1988, and Howard asked them if they have a plan to leave SNL. Jost said, we definitely don't have a game plan. We never had a game plan. Every year it's sort of like you just reveal, you're seeing if you still like it. Stern was curious if they've had a discussion, if you go, I go. Che said, we've had that discussion at different times. Stern said, Michael seems like a guy who every year wants to leave, but he sticks around. Che said, yeah, but it's not a matter of I want to leave because I want to leave. It's like I want to leave because I always feel like I miss stand-up and all this stuff. It's always that. Stern asked Che if he'd do the news by himself if Jost departed, and Che said, no. Same question to Jost. Jost said, no. Che said, in a heartbeat he would. He's lying through his teeth. And then Jost said, I'll do 3 years. Joe Coy, who once hosted the Golden Globes, by the way, made a joke about Taylor Swift. I don't know if you heard about it. New material's literally the job, he says. Always, hands down, the surprise element is the best. It's so important to not do what you did on TV. If your audience is coming out because they saw you on Netflix, they pay all this money to see you live, and then I just do my Netflix special live, it's like they're not coming back. What is this, an unplugged version? It's not like music. Music, you can do that. You can write a hit song, play it for the rest of your life, and people keep paying to hear it. It's a different vibe. Comedy can't do that. The most important part is the punch. If you know the end of the book, why are you going to watch the movie? Can't kill doing an old bit. For new material, he says, I have the most minuscule idea of where I want to go, but as far as when I'm on stage, I love to improvise. I love to be in that moment. Sometimes the audience will create something off an idea for me, and it turns into this thing. Unconsciously, it starts to write itself when it hits and lands the way I know it's supposed to land. And I know it's not just a joke for this particular group of people. And by that way, I mean locally, like they'll only get it here in Dallas or Houston. I want them to be able to get the Omaha joke in Hawaii. If I can hit that moment genuinely, then I'll keep it. I do know vaguely where I want to go, but unconsciously it develops on its own. John Early has an album out today. Them.us wrote a lot about John Early. And they say in previous iterations of his comedy, John Early felt like he had to decide between being confident or self-deprecating, between singing songs and telling jokes, or between collaboration and going solo. But with his latest special, Now More Than Ever, which is the basis of the comedy album of the same name, which comes out today, John Early decided he could do all the above. He says to finally blend music and comedy was groundbreaking privately because I was suddenly like, oh, there's emotion and there's musicality to my stand-up. There's a yearning, aching quality to my stand-up that I've only let out in the music. John Early, what comedy albums inspired you? He said, I listened to all of Maria Bamford's comedy albums quite a bit. My family used to listen to Andy Griffith's comedy album. In my 20s, I used to listen to Sandra Bernhard's live album. That was certainly influential. He was asked about his band, the Lemon Squares, being part of the album. John Early said, it really started when I first started doing stand-up. You do like little 10-minute sets or 10-minute open mics, and after I'd been doing it for a couple of years, I wanted to do a bigger solo show, but I wanted to offer something more than just stand-up, which made people realize that I don't think my stand-up is enough to offer. I really wanted to put on a show, and it felt exciting to do sincere covers like he does serious music songs. I've never had the impulse to write songs or comedy songs. I wanted my live shows to feel a little more groovy. Do you feel the John Early on-stage persona changes between telling jokes and singing? He said, I feel like it's more fluid. At the time I was making this special, something finally integrated. For the 10 years prior, working with the band and doing live shows, there was something disjointed about it. Then COVID happened. I didn't really perform for a while. I forgot how much I loved doing it. When we came back for the special and started rehearsing, I realized the sincerity of the music was pulling the comedy in a more direct, generous direction. It was nice. It all started to blend into something more unified. John Early, Now More Than Ever, video version on Max. The album of the same name out today from My Denim Records /30 Tigers. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too, and I'll see you here tomorrow.